Hi there, Shortcuts. This is video 2 for the week of January, Wednesday 15th. Price list will go out 9 p.m. Wednesday 15th, Sydney time, Australia. If you would like to be on this price list, drop me an email, shortcutsrecords@gmail.com. This is the rock list. This has got some 90s kind of indie. It's got some 80s hair metal, and then a bunch of other classic and a little bit of new wave as well. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting list. Includes a run of 3 records in a row where the name of the record is the name of the band. So 3 self-titled classics in a row. See if you can think what they might be. All right, I'm going to start with this record. Now, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to show you the copy that's for sale, and then I'm going to show you my copy so you can see what you're getting in this, because it is utterly brilliant. This particular record is in my top, I don't know, 4 or 5 Buy On Me Please records. I've managed to get a few of these before it sold out. So I think I've got 2, although one might be gone, maybe just one. I'll have to check. But it is now gone. And it is the Vinyl Me Please pressing of Ladies and Gentlemen, We Are Floating in Space by Spiritualized. So this is the sealed copy. Now I'm going to go to my copy to show you and to talk to you a little bit about what this is. So firstly, ladies and gentlemen, we're floating in space. There's the sleeve and the gatefold. I do love the inside. Looks like the inside of a pharmacy doling out drugs. The drugs being the cover of the album folded into a drugs box. On the back, for oral administration only, use only as directed by a physician. Tablets contain a total of 70 minutes. Store in a dry place, protect from light, and keep out of reach of children. How amazing is that? The record, first, I really like the art print. What is Spiritualized used for? Spiritualized is used to treat the heart and soul. Original artwork by Pharaoh and Spaceman, who I suspect is Jason Pierce, the driving force of Spiritualized. Each record comes in its own sleeve that looks like a pill, and the album itself is pressed on this deep space blue. It's just great. I absolutely, utterly love it. What else can I show you? I think that's everything. All right. So, why is this record so special? I think this is the only Spiritualized album you need. Laser guided melodies and some of the later ones are good in moments, but this is unarguably their masterpiece. It garnered rave reviews everywhere. When I was in the UK when this was released, you're talking the era of Oasis and Blur and others, and then this record arrives, Spiritualized, ladies and gentlemen, we're floating in space, and it is proggy. It has New Orleans soul. It has symphonic rock. It has noise. It has some of the most beautiful melodies, I think, of any band that released an album in the 90s. It is in the mix for being the best album of the 90s, I think. Certainly the best British album. You know, Screamadelica is up there. The Primal Scream album. Primal Scream played in town here last night. It is a wonderful thing. Why? Well, I was listening to a podcast actually this weekend talking about Blood on the Tracks, Bob Dylan, and how Bob Dylan always denied that Blood on the Tracks was a breakup album after he broke up and divorced from Sarah Lyons. And I think that you take everything Bob Dylan says with a pinch of salt, but it's clear to anyone who listens to this album, Blood on the Tracks, that it is a bitter, sad album. And the story of that record I'm going to go into another time because it is amazing. Spiritualized, the opening lyrics or the opening line is a female voice intoning, "Ladies and gentlemen, we are floating in space." And that is, I think it was the keyboardist, Kate Radley. I'm pretty sure her name is Kate Radley. And she and Jason Pierce, the lead singer and songwriter and guitar player of Spiritualized, had recently ended their relationship. It had been a hidden relationship in many ways, but it finished. And he always denied that this was a breakup record. But this is a breakup record. It has to be. Just listen to the song Broken Heart. That is an integral song on the second of the two LPs. It is 7 or 8 minutes of Jason Pierce just laying it all on the line. I've played this song to Finbar, my 12-year-old, and he was transfixed, just as anyone is. It is one of the most beautiful string-laden ballads that any British band has ever produced. I put it up there with anything that was done, and it is heartbreaking. And it's so open. I have a broken heart, he describes. It's just so utterly beautiful. If you don't know the song, put your headphones on and just lie back and let it wash. There are times when he describes a relationship to having a hole in his arm, and it's also clear that he was struggling with a drug addiction. It's clear. His voice is kind of rattled at times. At times, the music veers off into this rage-filled noise, and other times it is a bass line that is so hypnotic that it just soothes you. And I get why he describes Spiritualized as treatment for the heart and soul. These 2 tablets of music, 70 minutes, are absolutely phenomenal. Cop Shoot Cop is 17 minutes long, and it could be 34 minutes long, and I'd be happy. I love this album. I love what Violently Please did. This is part of the reason I'm really going to miss Violently Please, because of what they did for albums like this. There were a bunch of Americans, I remember, when this first came out, on the Violently Please forums going, "I've never heard of this thing. What is this all about?" And then by the end of it, these people were coming out going, "My gosh, why did we not know about this album? It is special." If any of you have any feelings about Spiritualized, ladies and gentlemen, we're floating in space, please put them in the comments below and let's have a conversation. It's so good. All right, now another one of their records that I've only got one copy left, and this is my copy, but I'm going to just show you why this package is so beautiful. There's the art print for Jailbreak. Thin Lizzy, classic, I think it was 76 hard rock. They went right the way back to the analog tapes to make this copy, and boy, can you tell. But what they've done with this sleeve, can you see that it's this metallic, just this beautiful metallic sleeve. And this is my favorite bit. Can you see that front? The listening notes for this album are contained in the front cover, like that. And the listening notes are great for this album. Jailbreak, Thin Lizzy. Most of you probably have a copy. If you don't, that Vinyl Me Please pressing is utterly wonderful. And so, yeah, very, very, very sad now that I can't get as easy access to these records. And there's the copy of Spiritualized. All right, just a couple more Vinyl Me Please, and we'll get on to some hard rock. I had Nina Simone on the other list. This is the other record that I referred to. This is one of Vinyl Me Please's standout jazz blues records. Nina Simone sings the blues on this beautiful blue pressing. And look at that for an art print. That is special. That is Nina Simone's Nina Sings the Blues. You've heard me talk about this many times. Mastered from the original analog tapes by Ryan Smith. It's sterling sound, printed on 180 gram blue vinyl. Listening notes by Shamashishla Tillet, an art print by Melania Bass. Look, Nina Simone's story is undoubtedly one of pain and loss, and dealing with her own often quite violent emotions. But this record is not that. This record has joy. The band that she plays with are utterly fantastic. And I think that tells you what this record's about, even though it's the blues. It's brilliant. Vinyl Me Please nailed this one. They kicked it out of the park. It's brilliant. If you don't have it, give it a listen. All right, now the final Vinyl Me Please pressing I'm going to talk about is this. This finished, I'm not that familiar with this record, and I don't know Ornette Coleman very much, but there's been a number of rankings of the best jazz presses that Vinyl Me Please have done, and this always is up the top. Ornette Coleman's The Shape of Jazz to Come, lacquers cut from the original mono tapes by Ryan Smith, listening notes by Marcus J. Moore. This is, I think, a singular jazz album, part of the canon. I'm going to give it a listen myself this week. There were a few copies that came. So there you have the Vinyl Me Please selection. I now have some really diverse Japanese presses, and in some cases, and this kickoff record here I'm going to show you is very rare indeed. And so you're going to be surprised when you see what this is. This is the Japanese first press of Too Fast for Love, the debut album by the Motley Crue. I was quite intrigued by this. I had to give it a play earlier today. It's pretty raw. I mean, I think this is, what is it, in 1981? This feels like it is not a million miles away from, the first few Van Halen records. There's a rawness. I'm convinced Guns N' Roses would have been listening to this record when they were making Appetite for Destruction. You can clearly hear, particularly the rhythm guitar, some similarities. The voice is obviously very different, and the band are not as competent as Guns N' Roses obviously were by the time they made Appetite. But it's pretty raw. It's actually quite listenable. I know that kind of lays the way for glam and all that stuff, but it's actually not a bad album. And all the inserts, I've been reading up on this record as to why it is so desirable. And if you look at the Discogs comments, and there's a bunch of other forums, they just talk about how the sound quality of this particular pressing far surpasses any other that was made at the time. So for those of you who like your glam hard rock, Motley Crue's debut album, Too Fast for Love, I also have, bizarrely, the first press of Motley Crue's Theatre of Pain as well. So a little bit later in their career, I think this is mid-80s, City Boy Blues, Smoking in the Boys' Room is one that I'd heard before. This was the album that they released after the death of the drummer from Hanoi Rocks, who was in a car, I think was it with Vince Neil or Tommy Lee? I'm not quite sure. There was some kind of drug-addled tragedy that was at play. Not that it impacted them very much. They released a box set that talked about how they were making music that you could drive fast cars to, which feels a bit insensitive considering what happened, but I guess that's the Motley Crue for you. Both of those are excellent condition Japanese first presses. The Too Fast for Love is particularly rare and very hard to find. So if you're a fan, grab that one pretty quick, I would suggest. Okay, now here's the run of 3 bands where the album is the name of the band as well. And it's not necessarily debuts, although 2 out of the 3 are. First 2 here, I have my favorite of the 3 is the debut album by Roxy Music. This is, look at that. Look at Eno, Phil Manzanera, Brian Ferry, Andrew McKay, Graham Simpson. What's really good about the early Japanese presses of this is that includes Virginia Plain in the track list, but it's not listed. At least it wasn't on my pressing. I'm just going to check on this one. Remake Ladytron. What a song Ladytron is. My gosh, it's so great. No, it's not. It's not listed either there, but I'm pretty sure Virginia Plain is on that. I might check it before I send it out. But Roxy Music, I'll put the first 4 or 5 Roxy Music albums up against any albums released in the 70s. You've heard me say this many times. They're genius. And these Japanese presses sound way better than any other copies I've ever heard. So, yeah, if you need a bit of Roxy, you don't have the debut. The debu's wonderful. And Ladytron, oh my gosh. I mean, remake. I'm going to just pull this out again. Side 2, Sea Breezes, Bitter Ends. Side 1, Ladytron, Virginia Plain, remake, remodel. I love it. Great album. Maybe not quite as good as For Your Pleasure, but brilliant. All right, now next is The Doors. The Doors, a band that, you know, infamously, those of you who know me, I don't really get on with. But this album and this pressing has got some fantastic reviews on Discogs. People raving about the quality of this particular pressing on the Elektra label. I might take a couple of snippets and put it in the list when I post out on Wednesday. The Doors. I know a lot of people think that it is, you know, one of the greatest debuts of all time. I don't, but I appreciate that I'm not the arbiter of good taste, and so there are plenty of you out there who love this band, and so good luck. I also really like this album. This is the band, their second album, Music from Big Pink being their first. This has got my personal favorite the band song, which is Whispering Pines, sung by Richard Manuel. I think it's one of the most beautiful songs of the 60s. Just a great album, and it's so earthy and original, and it's so genuine, so heartfelt. It's just a beautiful album, and if you're not familiar with it, give it a spin. It is well worth your time. All right, now we have the only white label promo on this particular list, but it's an interesting one. I'm going to show you the white label promo. It's on the Chrysalis label. It is the white label promo, and therefore probably fairly surely unplayed, of Raging Eden by Ultravox. Now, you weren't expecting that, were you? Not a band that I'm overly familiar with, but I think I played the first two songs, just Spotified them, to be honest, earlier. The cover I really like. I read a little piece about Peter Saville, the guy who designed it, and I do think it's very striking and kind of very 80s, and I like the front and back nature of it. It's very pretty. And the first couple of tracks I played were more kind of experimental than I was anticipating. I thought maybe this later Ultravox piece you'd kind of get that very clear kind of symphonic pop type thing, but it's really not. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. But I suspect that if there's a few Ultravox fans out there, they might like that white label promo. It's in lovely, lovely condition. Okay, I've got a couple of Prince records, one that I like, one that I love. This is the one that I like. This is the Japanese first press with obi and fold out of Around the World. It's got this unusual kind of flap mechanism. You may have seen it before. It's pretty. I don't really remember seeing it in with the obi before, particularly one as in nice condition as this. But you know, if you like your Raspberry Berets and your Paisley Parks, and Around the World in a Day is the album for you. Hugely fun and experimental. But this is the one that I love. This is the soundtrack to Parade, it's the soundtrack album called Parade, but it was I think the second movie he made after Purple Rain. Was it? Oh, I can't remember now the name of it. But I think this is a fantastic album. I think one of his best. Has a through line, really funky and interesting, no filler, big fan. All right, I'm going to finish out the list because I'm just hearing so many people talking about how fantastic this pressing sounds, and I'm going to put it up again. It is Neil Young's Harvest, complete with the little posters and the inners and the I don't know. This is the kind of the share. This is the record on reprise. It looks in fantastic nick. Well on its way to being Shortcuts royalty. If it is, it probably is there already. To be frank, I've had so many people grab this copy. Now this one only has a very small couple of little blemishes, just there. Other than that, it's in great nick. A little tear on the inside as well, but other than that, really, really nice condition. Okay, there we have it. Some metal, some pop, some rock, some new wave, some funk, some Vinyl Me Please. If you, as I said, particularly if you have any stories about either Motley Crue or Spiritualized, ladies and gentlemen, please let me know in the comments. Give me your thoughts. If you would like to be on the price list to buy some of these records, because all of these are for sale, drop me an email, shortcutsrecordsaus@gmail.com. Over and out, my friends. I will talk to you all very, very soon.